Panetta. And thank you, Audrey, who's helping with our taping here. Good afternoon, parents. How are you? Having a good day so far? And I know some of you are here with your daughters. Any grandparents here? No? I'm a brand new grandparent. I have a grandson who's 15 months old, and he's just beginning to move around, and so everything in my home is going up. We're lucky our son and daughter-in-law live close by. So they stopped by yesterday, and the moment he walked in, he goes straight for the Oreo cookies, right? And then he wants to put it all over the place. Fun, fun, fun. Well, welcome. Welcome today. My name is Ramesh, as you heard again, and I want to share some thoughts with you today about primarily sustainability, but we'll get there in a few minutes, right? So I want to talk to you about engineering and STEM careers, and everyone here has a daughter who's in school and who's very excited about studies and sports and athletics and dance and so on. And I'm here to tell you that you don't just have to be good at math and science in order to become an engineer. You can be interested in any field you like, and you can be in engineering, because engineering is a very creative, enabling field. So that's what I'm going to cover today, right? So that's me again. And in case you're wondering what the face looks like behind the mask, that's what I look like behind the mask. That was actually last February, Buenaventura Section, when we had a volunteer recognition event, and all of our volunteers got together. I think some of you recognize Natalie over there. Audrey, you may have taken the picture for all I know. So this is a great group of volunteers. So welcome. I want to start with a piece of statistics. When you look at the number of women earning degrees, bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, and doctoral degrees in the United States, you see this kind of a picture, and this is over 3 decades, right? So 1995, 2004, and 2014. And what you see here on the left-hand side is the percent of women. And I think you notice that it's hovering around 20%, right? It's reached about 20% in the bachelor's level, barely exceeded 20% in the master's level, barely exceeded 20% in the doctorate level. And then you look on the right, you see the actual number of women in those fields. So it's percent on one side, the actual number on the other side. So for example, right here, it says 20% of the students who earned bachelor's degrees in 2014 were women. And that's roughly about 19,000 women. Okay? Well, that sounds like good news, but you flip that and say, what percentage of women are actually in industry, in engineering industry? Anybody take a guess? What percentage of women are working in an engineering field in industry? Take a guess, rough guess. Very close, 13%. Okay, very close. So we've worked over 3 decades and we barely got to 20%, but the other number, the number of women in industry, has not changed. So this is something that we need to address as a community, right? And events like what we do today are integral to that, because we need to get our children, our daughters, our granddaughters excited. You know, I'm the father of 2 sons, so I haven't had a daughter, but I have a daughter-in-law, and she calls me dad. And so I'm very excited to see an event like today, because we need to start early. We need to continue to inspire young women to consider careers in engineering, and to let them know that there are creative, wonderful opportunities out there where they can make a difference. So let me share the story with you. The 2 young ladies that you see next to me, the one on the left is a colleague of mine at Tufts University. Her name is Dr. Karen Panetta. And if you look up Karen, Karen started a movement called Nerd Girls, because she said when they're in high school, when they're in middle school, they think that math and science is for nerdy kids, and that's not what they want to get into, right? And she said, no, I want to make them excited about it, so she started this movement called Nerd Girls. Dr. Panetta is an expert in sensors, and she is a colleague of mine in the IEEE. The lady in the middle is actually a teacher, a high school teacher in Alabama, whom we recognized back in 2016 with the Pre-University Educator Award. So she started an engineering academy. In this engineering academy, she brings girls together to work on problems in the community. So they pick up a problem in the community, They figure out a way to solve it. Not all of it involves technology, but they work on it, and they try to figure out a way to make a difference. The reason I show you this is because IEEE as a society, and we'll talk about this in a minute, is very heavily invested in supporting pre-university education, university education, of course, and continuing education. So when you think about IEEE and think about all the research and development that we do, that's one side of it. But we're also interested in pre-university education because we care about the future. We care about a diverse, equitable future that we have. This is a good resource that I want to share with you. It's available on Amazon. You could get it. Karen is the author. She published this in 2018. It's called Count Girls In, right? So as you think about your daughters, what kind of activities do they love doing? Anybody here has a daughter who plays soccer? Any sports? Okay. Music? Very good. Dance? They can be an engineer, okay? Pick up this book, read it, because they talk about how you can inspire your young daughter to be an engineer and make a difference in the world. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about, right? Count Girls In. You can find this on Amazon and Kindle and so forth, if you like it. You heard that I was from the Cal State system. I've been in the system for 35 years. I started my career at Sacramento State, where I taught. Oh, that's one of the balloons from the morning. So I started my career at Sacramento State, spent about 20 years there where I was the head of the electrical engineering department. Then an opening came up at Northridge. They were searching for a dean, so I moved to Northridge and served as dean for about a dozen years. Then I'm an optical communications engineer, so this is a bad joke. I say I finally saw the light and I said, enough of administration. I went back to the faculty in 2017. So I've been on the faculty as an electrical engineering professor at CSUN ever since. I like to show this picture. Can you see this in the back or is it washed out? You can see this, right?
Okay.
Good? Yeah? I don't know if we can control the lights here. Probably not, huh? Not where out. Okay, cool. We'll leave it there. Hopefully you can still see that. These are all my students in the College of Engineering Computer Science, having a lot of fun, right? We have departments from electrical, computer, mechanical, civil, manufacturing systems, computer science, cybersecurity, and so forth. And one thing that is common to all of these students is that they work on projects, and the projects are highly interdisciplinary. The population of students in our college is very similar to that graphic I showed you earlier. 20% of them are women, okay? But the program that I'm working on for the last 10 years, the AIM Squared program, we actually have about 35% women. And this is because we've intentionally worked with our local community colleges, our local high schools, to get more young women interested in STEM fields today. When you go back home today and speak to your daughters, one of the activities going on today, two of my students are here mentoring. Ashley Kunli is one of them. She's the president of our IEEE Honor Society. And then we have Suzanne Fisher, who's also being a mentor today. And they're both here because they want other young girls to know what exciting things they can do, right? That's a very powerful example. And neither one of them came with a background that had STEM in it, right? They had parents who did not know about STEM, but they came into STEM thinking that this is a way they can make a difference. So please keep that in mind, that anybody can be in STEM. You just need to be creative. You need to be thinking about how you can make a difference in the world. Right. Talk a little bit about what changed in the last 18 months. So this would have been the scene at Cal State Northridge if you came to our Oviatt library. Right outside the library, you have students sitting there, right? And in the space of 1 week, right after spring break, no, I'm not suggesting your daughter's face has changed into laptops, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Literally, we went from a three-dimensional world to a two-dimensional world. Everything we knew, business, industry, education, had to transition to a two-dimensional world. So this happened, again, because of the technologies that we created through engineering. So this is a graphic I like to share. It's from the National Academy of Engineering, NAE.org. And any CSUN graduates in the audience? Matadors, anybody? If not, my color scheme, right, those are the colors of our school, red and black. So that's why I picked those colors. But I've very deliberately identified a few words there. Innovation, engineering, real-world applications, having a direct and positive impact on people's lives. So when you think about engineering, I want you to think about those words, right? How do you connect science to life in forward-thinking ways, making such a difference in so many different ways? And we'll talk about sustainability as an important aspect of that. NAE.org, it's called Changing the Conversation, and the PDF is free. You can download it and read it. So one challenge that we all face today is with climate change, right? And I think we're all aware of greenhouse gases, what has happened for millennia, and what is happening right now with the rise in greenhouse gases. Now, this causes a lot of challenges in California. We have wildfires, we have flooding and hurricanes in other parts of the world. All of this, I think, needs to be addressed in a thoughtful, collaborative way by multiple disciplines, not just engineering, public policy experts, people in politics, trying to make a difference. Right? By making a difference, companies working together, governments working together, we can actually address these environmental issues. Why is this important? You look at the world today, over 139 countries have committed to having 100% of their energy come from wind, water, and solar, renewable sources, by 2050. That's not too far away, right? Your children and grandchildren are going to be living in that world. 100% of their energy coming from renewable sources. So sustainability is very, very important. We all know the technologies of today. We've heard about AI, we've heard about biotech. I mean, just think about 15 months ago, we didn't have a vaccine. It took epidemiologists working with high performance computing scientists to figure out a way to create this vaccine and accelerate its development from the lab to actually human use. It took interdisciplinary collaboration. That's going to be the future that your daughters are going to be inheriting, right? A future where they have to be thinking beyond their own particular discipline, but thinking collaboratively, thinking about how they can make a difference in their community. So challenges are many. Like I tell my students, it's time to stop admiring the problem. We've got to do something about it, right? Yes, we know these are real problems. What can we do about it? The answer, ladies and gentlemen, is in these sustainable technologies. Clean energy, transportation, smart cities, smart grid, and then all the technologies, Internet of Things, 5G, machine learning, artificial. None of these by itself is going to solve any problem, but these working together is where the future is. So what do we really value? We value trust, right? I mean, science is important, engineering is important. We value trust. It's based on data. So if the data proves you otherwise, then you move to a different solution. Trust requires transparency and open communications. And these are values all professions should practice, but in particular engineering needs to practice. We also need to remember that we're not here forever. So when we leave, the planet needs to be sustainable for our children, our grandchildren, and so forth. So being grateful for what we have. And ethics is very important. This is an important aspect of any STEM career, because no matter what you do, it's got an impact on somebody. It may not be immediately apparent, but it has an impact on somebody. So how do you ensure that the products, the processes that you create are actually going to serve humanity in an ethical way, right? This is really, really critical. Anybody recognize this young lady? I'll give you a hint. Her first name is Maya. Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou, right? And I love Maya Angelou just because of what she says. Lift up your hearts. Each new hour holds new chances for new beginnings. Lift up your hearts. So we have lots of challenges, lots of adversity, but we've innovated in the face of adversity. That to me is resilience. That to me is engineering. So engineering, when you have plenty, right, when you have resources and you have the people, anybody can solve any problem. But think about the world we live in today. We are constrained, right? We're all wearing masks because we need to protect one another. The world we live in today is one where we need to demonstrate resilience by innovating in the face of adversity. That's what your children need to be thinking about. Okay? Let me pivot and talk about IEEE, because IEEE is hosting this event for you, the Institute of Electrical Electronics Engineers. Who are we? We're the largest professional technical organization in the world, over 400,000 members. Approximately 125,000 of them are students in every country in the world, over 160 countries. People know about our publications, our research and development and so on. But what I really want to talk to you about is IEEE's role when it comes to global public policy, education, and yes, pre-university education. Because it's not just about creating the newest technologies, that people are going to use tomorrow. It's about how do we prepare young people, especially women in engineering, so that we have a more equitable, more diverse talent coming into our engineering workforce, right? This is something that is a collective responsibility, and you play a very important role as parents and grandparents of your children, because without you, this would not happen. So, anybody recognize this little chart right here? In the middle, these blocks right there? I'll give you a hint. United Nations. So if you go to the United Nations website and look up sustainable development, these are the 17 goals that the United Nations has for sustainable development. Eliminate poverty, eliminate hunger, good health, smart cities, clean environment, smart infrastructure, right? This is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Why do I show this? IEEE, our mission is advancing technology for the benefit of humanity. That's our mission. And I literally see this, United Nations goals, as where IEEE entrepreneurship and humanitarian activities meet. So everything we do in IEEE, I can fit into one of these, right? And more. So it's very, very broad. So let's look at a few examples. One that I'll share with you is called EPICS. EPICS stands for Engineering Projects in Community Service. So when you look at the young child right there in the toy car, that child has CP. So she doesn't have control over her emotions. So she can fall easily and so forth. Think about the car that she's riding. It's a toy car that you find in any store. A lot of children like to ride that, right? Battery operated cars. But if somebody doesn't have control over their movement, this is going to be very dangerous for them. So how do you get a child with CP to have the same enjoyment, the same empowerment that another child might have? So the group of students that you see are from Wichita State University, from IEEE, the Honor Society. So they created a pathfinder algorithm. So if you can imagine this floor right here, you can mark a path, an invisible path, and you can equip the car with some sensors. So the car is just going to follow the path all along, right? The car is not going to go on its own. It's like a small Tesla for her, okay? It drives itself around that little auditorium. But for the child, it's very empowering because she thinks she's driving the car and she gets the same enjoyment. This is what we do as engineers, right? So it makes a big difference for the child because she's independent, she's playing with the toy, and she feels empowered. Now this whole project probably cost about $200 to produce. But then the IEEE funded these students. A commercial company came and stepped in and said, we can commercialize this, actually put it out in more toys and products out there, right? Lots of different projects like these. So access and abilities, education and outreach. Last night, I was talking to a group of students in India. These students are from 3rd grade and 4th grade, and they were demonstrating how a traffic light works. 3rd grade and 4th grade students from an underserved community hooking up a traffic light, just like what your daughters are doing today, and demonstrating it to me on Zoom. I had tears in my eyes just watching them and the way they presented, the confidence that they had, right? This comes, I believe, by knowing that they too can do it. So we do education and outreach. Obviously, we have lots and lots of projects related to the environment, human services, connecting. Now, you can do this because EPICS and IEEE is funded through the IEEE. So the average project is about $5,000. But the more important stat I want to share with you is this number. 36% of the university students are women, and 42% of the students participating in these projects are young women like your daughters and your granddaughters who are here today. Right? So this has been going on since 2009, and the average project, again, is about $5,000. You can go to epics.ieee.org and apply today as a student organization and connect with the community, connect with an NGO, do a project in any one of those areas. So these are the kind of things that we do with an IEEE. This is my program, AIM Squared program. Very proud of this program. I started it in 2011 because when you look at my university, many students in my university are first-generation students. The first in their family to go to college, to earn a degree, let alone a STEM degree, right? So we worked very hard to ensure their success. So started working closely with our local community colleges, Moorpark College here, Glendale Community College, College of the Canyons, and Pierce College. So when these students come in, we provide them with mentoring. We provide them with opportunities to work on research projects. We give them tutoring. And in the space of 10 years, these students have done remarkably well. So this has been supported with 2 grants from the US Department of Education. Both of them are multi-million-dollar grants, and we've served over 3,000 students from the community colleges and about 500 students at CSUN through this. So they get internships, they get support, stipends, and they actually work on research projects. And these are not abstract research projects. Last year, when the pandemic hit, some of the students in the program actually used the 3D printers in our labs and started creating personal protection equipment that they could deliver to local hospitals for first-line responders, right? So again, it goes back to how do you make a difference in the world, right? Very, very important. Good. If anybody has driven to Cal State Northridge, it's a good thing to see the map because you'll never find parking. No, I'm just kidding. Don't go there on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Parking is very difficult on our campus. But the reason I'm showing you this is all the renewable energy installations we have on campus. So we have solar panels, we have a fuel cell, it's a molten carbonate fuel cell with a rainforest to sequester the carbon. We also have microturbines in there. Very, very exciting projects right here. Here's another project that I want to share with you. It is a brain control interface wheelchair, BCI wheelchair. So you say, how does that work? Sitting in the wheelchair and you think you want to go forward, it translates your thought into a motion command, the wheelchair goes forward. Sounds like science fiction, doesn't it? The same students who won competitions in robotics, just like your daughters are doing today. It's an international competition at the University of Michigan called AUVSI, Autonomous Unmanned Vehicle Society. They go there, it's a football-sized field, so the robot has to navigate the field autonomously in a certain amount of time with certain constraints. But they took the same technologies. So there's a laser rangefinder here, there's a camera, there's GPS. They took the same technologies, integrated it with the headset, So show of hands, how many of your daughters play video games? Show of hands. Be honest. Okay? Does anybody use a headset or they use a joystick when they play a video game? Headset? You can, there you go, thank you, Audrey. So you can use a headset, you can push or pull an object, you can move an object to the right, move an object to the left. What these students did was remarkable. Undergraduate students, mind you. They took the headset, put it on, monitored the EEG waveform. So if you think that you want to go forward, what does your EEG waveform look like? And they compare it to a database that is stored on a computer, on the laptop, right there. That then, in real time, compares your thought pattern to what is stored there and deduces a probability that you intended to go forward. Then it moves the motor and the chair goes forward. Same thing when you want to turn right. You think you want to go right, it goes right. Scary, right? It works. It works, right? As a professor, I can go forward, I can stop, but I can't turn right or turn left because I haven't read the manual. Professors don't read the manual, you know that, right? So if I train with a neural network, I'm joking, if I train with a neural network, then I can train it to recognize my thoughts and I can move. The reason I'm showing you this is these same students who are all about competitions and having games and winning projects and so forth, now when they came upon this opportunity, they said, how can we help somebody who's confined to a wheelchair use their thoughts and move forward, right? So those are the kind of things that engineers do, right? So what are some resources that you can take home today after a very exciting day, very full day of activities? One is you can look at our educational activities program at IEEE. And Lorena Garcia from Peru, Colombia, excuse me, is our educational activities chair. She's a volunteer, like me, professor. Bert Dick is on the staff at IEEE. One place you can probably go to is Try Engineering. If you remember just one thing from my talk today, try engineering. Just go to tryengineering.org. And in fact, we're going to play a little game in a minute with all of you. So you're actually going to get into Try Engineering, and we're going to see what kind of engineer all of you are, right? So stay tuned. So Try Engineering has lesson plans. It has activities like the ones that your daughters are doing today. Things for parents, things for teachers, for counselors, and it's also age appropriate. So if you have a 3-year-old, you have activities for them. You have activities for 6-year-olds, 10-year-olds, so on and so forth, okay? So we have a summer institute. We haven't done this last year because of the pandemic, but we actually have a 2-week summer camp. So if you thought today was fun, imagine being in a 2-week summer camp where you have lots and lots of activities to integrate them as a community to work on different problems, right? So that's something we'll be doing this year. I believe this year's camp will happen, when I say this year, 2022, it'll happen in Riverside, UC Riverside. We do one in New York, one in Texas. All right, here are some of the resources that are available. So the first one says, how will you change the world, right? And it shows what kind of engineer do you want to be and how you can change the world. We are actually going to play this game together. So if you have your smartphones, this would be a good time to take them out. So here are some ways by which engineers change the world, but we're actually going to have some fun, play the game and do it. So I'll get to the game in a minute. Lots of sustainability resources too on there, including working with wind, working with solar, so forth. So here's the game. I'll leave the website up there. Let you get on with your phones. So you can go to tryengineering.org and game. Okay, so once you get in, it says engineers are the inventors and problem solvers of the world. What kind are you? So we're going to play this game. So click on the next button. Which one of those activities would you like to be? Just pick whichever one you like. Any one of those, okay? The next button should be right below here. Yeah, so just pick a picture. Click the picture that looks, yeah? So, I think I'm a little too old for roller coasters, Howard. What do you think? I think I'm a little too old for roller coasters.
Oh, I don't think we're ever too old.
Thank you, Howard, for that vote of confidence. All right, let's try that. Now we're getting somewhere. What's your superpower? Audrey, what should we do here? What's our superpower? You pick.
Oh, personally, I like flying.
You can transform into a super small, super strong creature. A laser shooting robotic exoskeleton. I can fly, I can control machines, spider powers, animals obey my commands.
That would be very helpful. But flying.
Which one is this?
Bottom right.
Bottom right, I can fly. Very good. Well, you can pick whatever you want, parents. You know, it's your choice. What's the most impressive human accomplishment? So you got the Great Wall of China, the internet. Wait, is that Dunkin' Donuts? No, that's a wheel. That is a wheel, folks. Modern medicine. Smartphones. I don't know. Leprotado, what do you think? What do you like on this one?
But I think I'm going to go with the
Modern medicine, very good. Okay. And then the next one says, when I grow up, I want to. Maybe I'll play video games. I never played that growing up. So, all right, I'll play video games, folks. Here's a fun one. Who would you like to spend a day with, anyone, living or dead? It would be, you got Da Vinci, Stephen Hawking, Hedy Lamarr, Marie Curie, Bill Gates, Neil Armstrong.
You gotta go with Stephen Hawking, man.
I got to, right, with my BCI wheelchair? Yeah. You know, Neil Armstrong is special too because he landed on the moon on my birthday. So,
Nice.
July 20. We planned it. Okay, this is a fun one, parents, and I think I know the answer. If I asked your daughters, if you're stranded on a desert island and could have one item granted to you, what would it be? And the answer is, what would your daughters say? A cell phone, of course. I'm just kidding. You got a golf cart, you got a hut, First you get the cell phone, then you try to figure out where to charge it, right? So, video game, water purification. I don't know, Audrey,
Oh, there's some good choices. I'm gonna go with the water purification.
good choice. Okay, now we've got, if you could solve one world challenge, it would be improve urban infrastructure, enhance virtual reality, colonize Mars. I know house prices are going up in Simi Valley, but not quite ready to go up there yet. Prevent global warming. I don't know. What do you think, Audrey?
Yeah, global warming.
Global warming, thank you. Ah, here's my favorite.
Oh, nice.
The fictional character you're most like. You got Tinkerbell, Lorax, Severus Snape, Buzz Lightyear. Everybody knows the young lady in the middle there. Mariam Bialik, right? MacGyver. I've actually been playing a lot with my grandson with Buzz Lightyear. I don't know. Audrey, I'm going to pick Amy, I think.
Your choice.
You know who she is, right?
Never seen the Big Bang Theory.
Thank you. Oh, now we're getting somewhere. Your personal crest would feature a flickering candle, a winding road, a spinning wheel, a thorny rose, south-pointing chariot, an apothecary bottle.
I'll take the candle, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, and we're on to the final one, which is, what sci-fi invention would you most like to see come true? Marty McFly, Universal Translator, Shrink Ray, AI, Spock, beam me up, Replicator.
Teleportation.
Teleportation, very good. How many times have you been on the 405 wanting to get to LAX?
Don't remind me.
I haven't been on it for a while. Lo and behold, it says I'm a bioengineer, right? No, this is just a game. But the reason why I wanted to take you through this is when you get to the end, you can click here. You know, how many others got bioengineering here? Anybody? Bio? Manufacturing? Environmental?
Civil.
Civil, okay, great. Electrical? Civil, very good. Okay, so click on this, learn more about bioengineering. So this is the real goal, right? So we want to get them to go here and look at what bioengineers do. So it talks about what bioengineers do, how they make a difference, what kind of preparation is needed. But it's something that you can play in a fun, engaging way. So as you talk about today's activities, when you go back home at the dinner table, you know, you can say, hey, let's try, what kind of engineer do you want to be? And they'll figure it out. I mean, they're very smart. They'll figure it out in no time and know that this is just a trick to get them to go read all of this stuff, right? But rather than just show them this stuff, you want to make sure that you engage them with that. So I'm going to close up in a second. Go back to my PowerPoint here. So the question that I'll ask you to ask all of them is one that I think we know the answer, but it's a rhetorical question. Do you want to make a difference in the world? That's a question that I'm going to ask you. And I think the answer is unabashedly, unapologetically, unwaveringly, yes, I want to make a difference in the world, right? That's what you want to hear. And the way you do it, folks, is exactly the way you're doing it. Bringing your daughters to events like these, showing them the possibilities with engineering, showing them that they can make a difference in the world. And I like to think about this as my crest. I say I care. When somebody asks me, why do you want to be an engineer? I say I care. So what does that mean? Everybody cares, right? I say I care because I'm inclusive, I'm collaborative, I'm accountable, because I'm accountable to the people that's funded my projects, to my students, their parents, the legislature, everybody, right? I'm accountable. I'm resilient because I don't get what I want all the time, but I've got to figure out a way to make it work with what I have. And above all, I'm ethical, so I care. Right? So that's what engineers do. So engineering is not just about math and science, it's about caring. and making a difference in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been a fabulous audience. Thank you. If you have any questions, we can take them up now. That's my email. Reach out to me. I'm at CSUN, so I'm easy to find. Thank you.